All right, helmet on, neck craned, let's go back up there. And first of all, Dudley, deeply uncalled for. I will recover, eventually. But thank you, truly, that meant a lot, and I'm buckled in for the ride. Here's a huge, regenerated, expanded version of your story. Same spirit, wider sky, longer fall. For as long as there have been people, there has been looking up. Not the casual glance, not the distracted check for clouds before rain, but the long, lingering stare, the kind where your neck starts to ache and you don't notice because something above you has already taken hold of your mind. Clouds drifting like slow thoughts, rearranging themselves without asking permission. Stars pinned into the dark, stubborn and distant, daring us to believe they're reachable. Birds, those infuriating overachievers, doing that thing they do so effortlessly, lifting themselves off the ground as if gravity were merely a suggestion, a guideline, a polite request they are free to ignore. Walking, it turns out, has never been enough for us. We're very good at it, exceptional even. We crossed continents on foot, wore paths into stone, marched armies, migrations, myths across the planet, feet blistered, bones aching, generations moving forward one step at a time. And still, almost immediately, someone stopped, tilted their head back, and thought, yes, this is impressive, but what if we went up instead? There's a faint jealousy in that thought, a quiet, enduring one. Birds don't boast about flying. They don't write manuals or give lectures. They don't explain lift or drag or wing loading. They simply leap, flap a little, and disappear into a dimension we can't follow. Humans noticed this early on. We noticed wings. We noticed feathers. We noticed how profoundly unfair it all seemed. So we imagined things with wings. Gods had them because omnipotence apparently still needed altitude. Messengers had them because news travels faster when it doesn't touch the ground. Monsters had them because fear is always worse when it comes from above. Angels, dragons, griffins, huge beating wings casting shadows over cities and stories alike. Flight became synonymous with power, with freedom, with escape. But imagination, as generous as it is, was never going to be enough. Eventually, someone tried jumping. Not metaphorically, literally. People leapt from towers, from cliffs, from hills that looked just high enough to negotiate with physics. They strapped on wooden frames, tied feathers to their arms, whispered prayers to gods they hoped were paying attention. Gravity, it turned out, was not easily impressed. But we are stubborn, endlessly, heroically stubborn. So we fell, and we failed, and then we tried again, this time with kites. Kites were clever. Kites understood the wind before we did. They caught ancient air currents, tugged at strings, lifted not bodies, but hopes. Someone watched a kite pull skyward and thought, if that can rise, maybe I can too. Hot air came next, a discovery so simple it almost feels obvious in hindsight. Warm air wants to rise, so we heated it, trapped it, trusted it. And suddenly, we weren't flapping or falling, we were floating. Hot air balloons didn't conquer the sky, they drifted into it. Silent, slow, completely at the mercy of invisible rivers of wind. No steering wheel, no brakes, just surrender. And for the first time, humans weren't borrowing flight from birds or gods, they were floating on the rules of the universe itself. But drifting was never going to satisfy us for long. We didn't want to visit the sky, we wanted to use it. So we studied, we measured, we argued with air until it finally explained itself. Lift, drag, thrust, weight. Words that sound simple now, but once stood between us and the impossible. And then, finally, we built something that worked. Not with feathers, not with prayers, but with wings shaped just right, engines loud enough to scare the ground into letting go. The first planes were awkward things, fragile, experimental, more question than answer. but they flew. They rolled forward faster and faster until the Earth, faithful, heavy, familiar, simply couldn't keep up anymore. And in that quiet, unbelievable moment, humans did the thing we had been dreaming about since the first neck-craning stare. We left the ground on purpose. Today, we barely look up when a plane passes overhead. We complain about leg room, about delays, about turbulence. We sip bad coffee at 30,000 feet and pretend this is normal. But it isn't. It's the result of thousands of years of envy, imagination, failure, courage, and obsession. It's every tower jumped from, every kite pulled skyward, every balloon drifting into the unknown. It's proof that walking was never enough for us, and it never will be. Because somewhere, even now, someone is looking up again, neck aching, mind wandering, thinking, yes, this is incredible, but what if we went even higher?
Gotcha. Same bones, richer air, longer echo. Here's a regenerated, flowing version, polished but still breathing. Impossible creatures followed naturally, things that stitched our fear and our envy into a single magnificent shape. Dragons didn't merely fly, they owned the sky. They curled through clouds like living storms, perched on mountains as if height itself answered to them. They reminded us that altitude meant power, that freedom lived upward, that mystery preferred thin air. Even when we were only telling stories, we were already rehearsing for flight. And when stories stopped being enough, we started stacking stones. Look at human architecture long enough, and the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. We weren't just building shelter, we were negotiating with the sky. Ziggurats rose in steps, pyramids climbed toward the sun, towers and spires sharpened themselves into the clouds. Each generation reached a little higher than the last, as if height itself were a kind of prayer, or maybe a dare. We climbed not because it was practical, but because it felt right, because standing above the ground, even by a few meters, shifted something inside us. The world rearranged itself, problems shrank, horizons widened. Someone, somewhere, stood on a tall structure, leaned forward just a little too far, and wondered what might happen if they trusted the air. Curiosity is the polite word for that feeling. Obsession is probably more honest. So we tied feathers together. We strapped frames to our arms that had no business being there. We jumped from towers, cliffs, hillsides, convinced that wanting it badly enough might persuade the air to catch us. Sometimes it did, briefly. Often it didn't. But the failures never killed the idea. They only paused it. Because deep down, humans have always suspected something dangerous and wonderful, that the ground is optional. Flight promised escape, yes, but it also promised perspective. To see